say all praise is due unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKakwadash. Double honor to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the elect. This is going to be a short lesson, Lord's will, going into the Crusades and Muhammad, right? And I'm going to bring out some points, bring out some scriptures, and yeah. So first scripture I'm going to get, actually, you know what? I'm going to bring out these points in this book called The Crusade. I bought this book like 2009. It goes into the whole it goes into the Crusades, and you had the Islam. It says the Crusades, right? The illustrated history, the Crusadum, Islam, and the Pilgrim War, because there were many wars, right? That Jake, that was in power, like they were fighting against the Ishmaelites to get them out of the land, Jerusalem, to get them out, you know? Salakia. Yeah, so there were many wars, you know, that was being fought, that was being funded by the Roman Catholic Church, right? Because you had the Pope, which were Jake, during the time of the Middle Ages. So the Crusades, this is a very good book. You could probably buy it as a PDF, or you could buy it. But you see, you know, a lot of these were the Moors that were fighting against the Templars, right? Because they're into that whole Christianity, which was set up by basically by Constantine the Great in 330 something AD. That like Constantine the Great, he established Christianity, the churches throughout Europe, and basically they were doing a lot of pagan worship, like worshiping on the Sunday, you know, and all these stuff, and then worshiping like the Queen of Heaven, you know, known as Muhammad, like known as Madonna, and all these different gods, or the Virgin Mary, right? That's what Jake was being, you know, like Jake was into that, right? So so Jake was, you know, they were in power, but you know, they were doing a lot of pagan, like a lot of pagan worship. So this is a very good book, right? The Crusades. See how they whitewashed these, right? Because that's what he did. Esau did that with his whole iconoclasm, you know. So you see, this is I believe the Christian unity and the divergence, the Christian unity and the divergence. In 330, Constantine shifted the focus of the Roman Empire, established by dedicating a new empire capital on the Bosporus, Constantinople, present-day Istanbul. But despite Constantine's belief that he had a brief new life into the empire, deep division presented within the empire's church. During the emperor's church, the Council of Nicaea had not expedited Arianism, and in the following century, new theological controversy arose. To settle this dispute, the church held 6 further economic council between 381 and 70, sorry, between 381 AD and 787, right? So you could see that, like these were the images, that they had, Constantine the Great and all these stuff. See this here? So this is like an image, right? They also have these stuff during the whole the Eastern Orthodox Church in medieval Europe and Russia, and the Russian icons and saints. There were art that would, based like that was us. Right, so the Byzantine were, this is page 117. So the Crusades, the Christian illustrated history, that Christian, Islam, and Pilgrims of War, by Thomas F. Madden. Right, so this is page 17. In the meantime, it says the secular rulers of the Western, it says continue to look to their ruler of Constantinople on the mod of imperial majesty and legacy. Legitimacy. Legitimacy. The most successful early imitator of the Byzantine Empire Great was Charles the Great, king of the Franks, 766 AD to 1814 AD, who carved out Western first medieval empire. Right, this was like, it's based like the Franks, right? So like this is Charles Magny. Right, see, he has a beard, he has a crown, right? And like, which that was us. The Byzantine were outraged that German barbarians should usurp the emperor title, right? That's pretty good. I'm just going into certain things. All right. It says, this is funny, in the mid 18th century, it said the community was a very multi-ethnic empire. It said despite the influx of Arab converts, must subject the Christians and Jews to the lesser extent. I don't know the word. Zoroastrian remained faithful to their ancestors' religion. On the eve of the Crusades in 1095, a Christian and Muslim population were probably was equal size in Syria, Palestine, right? Because Jake the Jews, right? Because basically this whole Christian religion that was set up during the Dark Age, during the medieval time, a lot of the Jews were being persecuted, right? And so they had to flee, and they had to, like, our people were still in the land of Israel, right? And then you had the Arabs, right? So I'm gonna get you this, get pictures, because I've been kind of ranting. So Jeremiah. This is a very vast history, right? So I'm gonna bring out this book, then I'm gonna bring out Babylon to Timbuktu. Book of Jeremiah 2, verse 27. Saying to a stock, for they have turned their back unto me, and not their faces, but I will in the time of their trouble, they will say, arise and save us. So A lot of our people were, because you had Muhammad, that came to power, all right, and that word Islam means to submit. So a lot of our people um, were subjugated, to that whole Islam, and then you had the Crusades, which with the whole with the Christian Church in medieval time that was fighting for the land. And I'm gonna bring these points, um, you know. So I'm gonna get Genesis 16 and 1. And now Sarah, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, right? Because she was of older age. She was like, I believe, 90 something year, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abraham, Behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah. Right? So Sarah was basically like the mission, right? Because you had, like Hagar, who was a servant to Sarah, right? So Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife. Right? So that is righteous, right? And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived, and she saw that she had conceived. Her mistress was despised in her eyes. So she was basically like, she was upset. She had like a evil, spirit, because she went to obtain children, but she got jealous of Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abraham, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judgeth between me and thee. But Abraham said unto Sarah, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleasant, that it pleaseth thee. And when Sarah heard Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. Right? So she was being persecuted by Sarah. And the angel of the Lord found her by the fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence cometh thou, and whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarah. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hand. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that I shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and thou shalt bear a son, and thou shalt call his name Ishmael, right? Which means heard of God, because thou, the Lord, have heard thy affliction, right? So, so that's where basically Abraham popped Hagar, and basically the angel said unto Hagar that she's gonna have a child. So his name was Ishmael, and that's why these Ishmaelites, they're very wild, man. I don't get you that. These Arabs, these Ishmaelites, they're crazy, man. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Right? So a wild man, man. They know like what's going on over there in Western Asia, or the so-called Middle East, right? they're blowing up, like there's like basically like young children that they basically like send them on suicide missions and so Ishmael, they're very crazy, man. They're serious. Um, so verse, yeah. So I'm gonna get yeah, and he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every hand's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of his brethren. Right. So yeah, Ishmael's a wild man. All right. So then I have another scripture. It says, so the pilgrimage, page 22 of this book, the Crusades, the illustration history of the Crusade of Islam, the Pilgrimage War. So page 22. Since the earliest day of Christianity, it's a primary pilgrimage. It's a destination for Christian had been the Holy Land, the region Yahweh or Jesus, which is named not Jesus. The first Christian and the biblical prophets were active. Of its many holy places, the most sacred is Jerusalem, right? So it says that Jerusalem, the mother of us all, right? So I'm going to get you Genesis 17. Start at 1 to 10 as well. And when Abraham was 90 years old, 9, the Lord appeared to Abraham and said unto him, I am the Almighty Power. Walk before me and be thou perfect, and I will make a covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abraham fell on the face, and Yahweh talked to him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. All right, so he's gonna have many children. All right, Abraham, he had all kinds of different children, and he blessed them. But the Lord, he's dealing with Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 patriarchs. Neither shalt thy name be any more called Abram, but thy name shall be called Abraham, which means, for a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I'll make a nation of thee, and kings shall come out of thee, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, generation for everlasting covenant, and to be a power unto thee I see. So Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's why Ishmael's mad, Edom's mad, right? Because the Lord, he's only dealing with the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the 12 patriarchs, man. And I will give unto thee and thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. I will be their power. So that's what the Lord, he promised unto us, right? Because those Ishmaelites, right, those Amalekites over there in the land of this Israel and Palestine, right? Even though there are some Israelites that are still there over there in Palestine and the state of Israel, there are Israelites over there. But the Lord, he's not dealing with you damn heathen, Arabs, you damn Falasha, you damn Ethiopians, you false, right? Because basically the word Falasha means false. And power said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant thereof, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generation. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed, every man's child among you shall be circumcised. So that's where the Lord, he basically the 8th day, let's read it, and he's that is the 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, right? So the 8th day, Abram, he was circumcised, and then his children, right? You had Ishmael, and then the Muslims had to be circumcised because there's many benefits of being circumcised. When you're uncircumcised, it's like read about it of the benefits of not being circumcised. Sorry, and then the benefits of being circumcised. There are many benefits, man. He that is born in the house and brought with money and of any stranger, which is not of thy seed, he that is born in the house, he that born with the money must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting token. So, so like this was the Heavenly Father. He made a commandment, for all to be circumcised. That's why when we do our high holy days, most of the brothers are circumcised, right? Because that was our covenant between us and the Father. So this Genesis 17:19, and the power said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, which means he laughed. Establish my covenant with him for everlasting covenant, and with his seed forever. All right, so this is the covenant the Heavenly Father is gonna establish with us again. Right? He's gonna give us a new covenant, because the covenant is gonna be in our flesh, because we're not in the new covenant, right? As what some of you guys are pushing, right? Because we're still under the curses. We don't, we're still imperfect. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and I will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. So that's why Ishmael is blessed, but the Lord, he's only dealing with the Israelites, man. All right, Ishmael right now, those Ishmaelites, they had us in captivity, man. They had us in hardcore captivity, man. During the time of Muhammad, there's a whole slave trade, right, about the Jews, right? And it's like, that was going on throughout like North Africa, West Africa, East Africa, and they're being trafficked. A lot of the Jews, they're being brought to Persia, India. All right. So let's read this, page 23 of this same book, Crusades. It says in 629 AD, Muhammad. It said Holy Land and Pilgrimage, Arabic, right, are linked to or origin of Islam most sacred site, Mecca. Right, which that whole Mecca is just a worshiping of a vagina, right? And they go and they have a thing called the Hajj, and they walk around the dam around that stone, right? And they kiss it, right? So that's not that's a totally wicked spirit. It's a wicked idol, man. All right, they're worshiping the Queen of Heaven, whether they know it or not. And there's a lot of Jake that's following that whole Islam. Islam is not our religion, man. That's a slave religion. It says in 629 AD, Muhammad negotiated a truce in his jihad with unbeliever leader of Mecca that allowed him and about 2,600 followers to enter into the city, where they worship at the shrine known as the Kaaba. So the Kaaba, so they're telling you it's a damn stone. It's an idol. An ancient cultic center of pagan Arab, which at the time contained 360 idols. Yeah, it's an idol, man. Let's read it again. There's, it says 260 followers entered the city where they worship at the pilgrimage shrine known as the Kaaba, the Cube, ancient cultic center, a pagan Arabia, which at that time contained 360 idols, man. Right? So you're not supposed to be worshiping these idols. And that's what that whole Islam, right? Because they basically made up that whole religion with that Muhammad. He was basically, there's a woman, her name is Khadija, and basically she was like a Jesuit, and she used that guy, she used that guy Muhammad to try to establish that whole religion of that Mecca, of that whole Islam, and get them out of the land and go to that Mecca, like to their region. So so Jake was a supplanter, right? So the Kaaba also housed a black stone altar that Muslims believe was set there by the Prophet Abraham and his sons Ishmael, the ancient, it says the ancestor of all Arabs. After his victory over the Mecca, the following year, Muhammad cleansed the Kaaba, known as the house of God, of its idols, and the shrine become the holiest site and the focus of the heart. So they're still doing it, man. That's a whole idol, man. That whole that going to Mecca and going on that pilgrimage, right? And a lot of our Jake, a lot of them they had to, like, a lot of them were submitted. Cause Ishmael, it means to submit, so a lot of them were started worshiping that damn whole Alat, or Allah, which is really a woman named Alat, right? A moon goddess, right? So that's why like these ninjas, right? A lot of them are a lot of these rappers and stuff, these entertainers, like guy like Mike Tyson, Lil Durk, and all these guys, they're worshiping the Kaaba stone. Right, that's an idol. Right, but there's a page I'm gonna look. So this is Jake. A lot of the Jews that was fighting against Jake, or that was into that whole Christianity. Right, you had the Knights of the Knights Templars and stuff that were they're known as Jake, who was fighting against Christians, right? They were known as the Saracens, right? Because they're like mixing up with the whole Arabs and the Persians. So there's a big war, like, for the land, right? That's why that land is still cursed, like, to this day. So you see this? You see, like, this is a Jake. He has the shield of David, or they call it the hexagram, right? But and you had the other opposing forces that was fighting against their fellow Christians, or I'm sorry, against their fellow Jew, Slovakia. All right. So like, that's why that land is still cursed to this day. All right. So like, that's pretty much it. Suggest, if you guys, I bought this book with I think I bought it at the library, I think, in Toronto, over Yonge and Dundas Square, the library, man. We would always buy all kind of books for a couple dollars, right? So this was a very good investment, man. Knowledge is power, right? It is power. So this is gonna be the next book from Babylon the Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor, which he's a historian and he was an Israelite, and very good book. I suggest you buy it. If you could have, you could buy it as a PDF, or you could buy the actual hard copy. You could buy you very good book. So let's go to page 44. The birth of Islam, the Roman Empire, and the birth of Muhammad was divided into two parts: the Western Empire with the capital at Rome, and the Byzantine Empire with the capital of Constantinople. So there are two empires that Jake was ruling from Western Asia, and then basically Eastern Asia, right? On both sides, right? And the Byzantine Empire was with the capital at Constantinople. The Roman Empire in the West collapsed 476 AD after many barbarian raids and incursions. I'm going to highlight this. It says, with the defeat of Jewish and Christian power in Arabia, the stage was now set for a new rise of the new power on the world scene, and the power of Arabia. Right, this was Ishmael's blessing. Right, that's why I brought out Genesis 16 and Genesis 17 of Ishmael, man. Right, and right now they're living very fat. They're living very luxurious over there in Dubai or Saudi Arabia. They're living very fat. They have a lot of oil. They have gold and all kind of different precious resources. The Arabian Empire, with its new religion Islam, established the superstructure of the culture of the ruin of the Roman Empire in the Middle East, Africa, and parts of Europe. When Muhammad was born, many Arabs were still worshipping the sun, stars, spirits, and idols. The Arabs possessed 360 idols, one for each day of the year. Right, so they're nothing but idol worshippers. So any of those Jake that follow in that whole Islam, you are being deceived, because you're basically an idol worshiper. Going to Mecca and going to the mosque. That's all. Muhammad was born 560 AD, 4 years after the death of Emperor Justin. He was descended from the tribe of Karif and the family of Hashem, right? Hashem, which means the name. His mentality was his mentality was prodigious. In his youth, he was never taught to read and write, but his imagination was superlative, right? So he was illiterate. That's what they say, right? So Muhammad became a camel driver. He traveled into the remote and entreated lands. He led his caravan to Persia, Syria, and Egypt. Transgating business with the merchants of every kind. On his business trips, he met Jews, Christians, and members of other sects. He interrogated them. Sorry, where's the page? Yeah, he frequently the environment of the Jews and the rabbis mostly because they were merchants and an omnipotent ethnic group, right? So Jake were merchants, were doing a lot of trade, right? Throughout Persia, Arabia, there were a lot of Jews that were doing a lot of trade, like because he could not read. His ears were attentive and keen to everything that the Jews relayed to him. Muhammad learned and extracted much of the Jewish religion and bounded it with the new religion, Islam, right? So that's why that whole Islam, it goes back to the scriptures. They got they have certain stories, of our forefathers, of Noah, Abraham. Like when you read about that, like they basically use this whole religion known as the Quran to try to get rid of the Arabs, the land, and they're still in our land, man. You know, um, this is like a very good book. I don't want to keep going, um, because they're nothing but pagan worshippers. I suggest you buy it if you haven't already bought it. But this is a very good book. All right, goes into that whole Islam. All right, Islam nothing but a slave religion, man. But let's get Galatians 4. Galatians 4. And 23. Galatians 4, verse 23. I started at 1. Galatians 4, verse 21. Tell me, and that the desire to be under the law. Do we not hear the law? For it was written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, and the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he that is of the free woman was the promise, right? So the Lord, he was only dealing with Isaac, Jacob, the patriarch. He wasn't dealing with Ishmael. And that's why those Ishmaelites are upset. Which things are allegory, for these are the two covenants, the one from the Mount Sinai, so Arabia, which gendereth to the bondage, which is Hagar. This Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, answers to Jerusalem, which now and is the bondage with her children. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So we come, out of that lineage. We come out of, that God, right? We come out from Jerusalem, right? Which means city of peace, right? We come out of that garden, right? The Garden of Eden, the Fertile Crescent, right? For it is written, rejoice thou barren that beareth not, break it forth, right? No, yeah, that's pretty much it. Get Joel 3. Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. So we're the Lord right now. We're in captivity, right? So, when like when we're free, like once the elect is free, like when Yahushua comes, because basically there's gonna be a great war. There's gonna be wars, right? When this World War III comes, that's why there's all these sightings of these UFOs, these chariots, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Yehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And that's what's happening right now, right? They are parting our land, we're like Jake's being persecuted even on their land. So, and basically from 70 AD, many of the Jews, they fled. They went into North Africa, West Africa, right? Went into Europe, right? Fleeing from Roman persecution. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. So the whole slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, the Arab slave trade, right, which was during basically in the 700s AD, basically the 7th century, right, over for a long time, right, hundreds of years. Jake was being oppressed. Even though Jake was in power during the medieval time, but there were a lot of war, and like the Crusades is a very big part of history, because you had the Arabs and then you had like the Christians with Jake that were fighting for the Holy Land. Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? So these Arabs that's in our land, all right, and like Tyre, those Hamites as well, right? They're who also played a major role in the slave trade as well, all right? The Palestine, all right, because like Palestine was a land where the Philistines were, but basically they were driven out. And then Ishmael came, right? So that's why I said the coast of Palestine. Will you render me a recompense? If you recompense me swiftly and speedily, I will return a recompense upon your own head, because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temple my goldly pleasant things. Right? So they have our treasures, our a lot of things, man. They are nothing but pirates, man. You damn Edomites. All the nations, man. The Lord is upset. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold to the Grecians, that he might remove them far from their mother. So the whole transatlantic slave trade, man. Yeah, and we are removed far from our border, man. But that's pretty much it. Alright, so this is a very good book. You could buy it as a you could buy it. You could probably buy it used. The Crusades, the Illustrated History, the Christendom, Islam, and Pilgrimage, and the book From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor. Good book. So hopefully this is edifying. So with that, like I say, all praise due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakodash. Though once the apostle, great milestone. Peace and blessing to the elect. Shalom.